Welcome back. PokeNerd from my Discord says, I just had an idea for my mission for my fellow party members. They have to fight against two people at the same time, but one is a caster and the other is a martial. What CR would be best for them? The party is level 4. Was thinking about maybe doing either a cult theme or maybe some sort of haunted medieval theme potentially. Well, PokeNerd, I got you. Immediately I thought of these two guys from one of my favorite games, Slay the Spire. It's the Centurion and the Mystic. If you've ever played it, you know how annoying these two can be. The Centurion hits hard and blocks both himself and the Mystic, while the Mystic sits in the back, healing and buffing both of them while applying debuffs on you. And I think this is the best way to do it even in D&D. While not everything translates perfectly, let's see what we can do. I really like the idea of going with some sort of cult theme. And that made it easy as we could pull in the Fanatic, a CR2 creature that would be perfect for what we have in mind. But then I got thinking, what would make a great tank or frontliner? It needs to be able to have some sort of area control and be able to keep the players from just immediately bum rushing the spellcaster. And as I was looking through, I found the Flesh Golem. And what better creature for a group of cultists to have as their frontliner than an amalgamation construct of flesh and who knows what else, dark energy and all that fun stuff. My only problem is that this is a CR5 creature and we're talking about 4 level 4 players. With the Fanatics, it's going to be way too strong for them. To make it CR3 and fit the theme we're going for, I reduced its max HP by 2 hit dice. Next, I removed its multi-attack. To make up for it, I did change the slam action. Its damage is reduced to 1d8 instead of 2d8, but if the target's medium or smaller, it's grappled. And it can have up to 2 creatures grappled at one time under each one of its lanky arms. Which, when I was designing the creature, I thought about instead of human arms, maybe it has giant or Goliath or bugbear arms instead. So the reach is 10 feet, which really helps with its area of control. After that, I reworked the Berserker ability. I cut down on some of the words to not make it so chunky, and I added when it receives lightning damage, it ceases being Berserk. Now speaking of lightning, you already had the Lightning Absorption ability, which whenever the Golem is subjected to lightning damage, it takes no damage and instead regains a number of hit points equal to the lightning damage dealt. I wanted to expand on this and really make it the theme of the battle, so I also gave it the Conductive ability. If the Golem is targeted by an attack, spell, or effect that deals lightning damage to it, any creature in direct contact with the Golem also takes lightning damage equal to half of the total. That way, any creature grappled by it while it receives lightning damage also takes damage. That's about all the changes I made to the Flesh Golem. Now, onto the Cultists. First order of business is I made it a vertical stat block, and the only real changes to the actual stat block are in its spell casting. First, I changed the wording so that way it's a little bit smaller and we're not having to read so much text. I changed its cantrips or its at-will attacks to Eldritch Blast, Shocking Grasp, and Thaumaturgy. I kept Command and Shield of Faith, but I switched out Inflict Wounds for Witch Bolt. And Witch Bolt works great here because if you remember from the Golem, anytime it takes lightning damage, it not only heals, but it also deals half that damage to whatever it has grappled or touching it. And for once a day spells, I kept Hold Person but replaced Spiritual Weapon with Acid Arrow. Now you might see the Acid Arrow has an asterisk, and that's because we're going to reskin Acid Arrow to use lightning damage. Everything else stays the exact same except instead of acid damage it uses lightning damage. Now the way that the scenario plays out really depends on how the party approaches the cultists and where you have it set. Ideally it would be somewhere where the Flesh Golem can get up close and personal with your martial adventurers while the cultists can take cover and sling spells from afar. They need to stay somewhere within 30 feet of the Golem for the Witch Bolt to work. That way they can keep him topped up on hit points while also dealing that extra damage from Conductive to the creatures he has grappled. While concentrating on any of their many concentration spells, they can cast Eldritch Blast to whittle down the ranged adventurers. Once again, thank you so much to PokeNerd from my Discord for the inspiration for this encounter. You can pick up all the resources needed for this encounter, which include the stat blocks, PDF, and map for free on my Patreon. And if you need help with an encounter or creating a monster, stop by the Discord. The first 100 people who join get the exclusive OG Original Genius badge. And lastly, if you want to survive your encounter with the Flesh Golem and Lightning Cultist, then follow me for more Nat 20s.